Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel TechDataEngineer. So today is the second video of Spark series. So in this video we will understand what is the Spark architecture, how it is working basically, where to submit your Pyspark job, how our resources are getting managed between the driver node and worker node and all these things. Okay. So basically, Pyspark architecture consists of a driver program, and that basically, so we have one driver program, and that is basically we can say driver program, and that basically interacts with the cluster manager, and this cluster manager will interact with the worker node where we have executor, their cache, their task, everything's are there. Okay. So this cluster manager basically discuss with interact with this one worker node to manage all the manage the resources and allocate the resources. So the driver communicate with worker nodes where tasks are executed with the executor JVM. Okay. So a Spark context manage the execute environment. Okay. So that executor program, that as Spark context is the entry point of the program that is there in the driver program. Okay. So the cluster manager basically this resource allocations, task scheduling across node, facilitate the parallel computation processing the large data. Okay. So before proceeding, first we will understand what is the driver program. So driver program is nothing where we have main function defined, and that is the Spark context where Spark session is got created and everything. So we have one Python. Driver program is nothing but it's like a driver program is the main control program of Pyspark, written in Python. It run the main Spark context or Spark session, which is basically the entry point of Spark functionality in the Pyspark application. So the driver program basically communicate with the cluster manager to coordinate and execute the Spark job. Okay, so what is happening basically, this is also one cluster and these are all cluster. There are multiple worker node cluster, and in a program there is a single driver program. Okay. So if we have one Python file where main is defined, Spark system is defined, Spark context is defined, and that program is running on one of the worker node, one of the node that is not worker node. So that worker node is called master node, and rest worker node are called rest nodes are called worker node. Okay. So in worker nodes also we have executor. Each executor have memory. Executor is basically a CPU, we can say, processing unit, and each processing unit have core that is defined, their memory defined, that all we will define based on the Spark submit. So I will show that a Spark submit command also, how we are submitting the command if we are running through either Kubernetes or either through any of the cluster manager. So but we understand here, we have one cluster manager that basically interact with the driver program also and worker node also. Okay. You can say master, this is basically a master slave architecture. This is the master where driver program is there, one of the node, and the other nodes are called worker node where our task get executed, and each worker node have the executor, their cache, their memory, and each and everything. Okay, when say you can say each executor have 4 GB of memory. So ideally that is defined like half of the memory is for running your Spark job, half for cache, persist, some con file, some different things also it is there. Okay. So we understand the driver program. So what is the driver program? The node where we have a Spark context, and we have where main functions for, you can say, the entry point of our PySpark application, that is called the driver program. What is the cluster manager? So cluster manager is nothing but responsible for managing the resource across the cluster of machines or node. Okay. It allocate resources and schedule the job. So common cluster managers are like a standalone you can use for local, or we have Mesos, we have Yarn, we have Kubernetes. So Kubernetes for, I guess this is for Google. So that is most used now, Kubernetes kit for deployment and all that is. So we are using this or cluster manager. Okay, then in worker node we have executor. Okay, so what is called executor basically? So executor are distributed over worker node, which I have already told. There are multiple worker node, each worker node have executor. So this is basically responsible for executing task in a Spark job. Okay, we are submitting your Spark job, the job got like can split into task, and then task also have so they have different can say label of processing. Okay, so each executor typically run on a separate node in the cluster. So we will create a multiple cluster, each cluster have one executor. Executor are launched by the cluster manager and remains allocated for the duration of the application. Okay, and they execute task and store data in memory or disk across multiple Spark job. So executor basically what they will do, they will basically execute the job and then they will do further processing and then store that. Okay, so here we will understand what is the Spark context. A Spark context is nothing but this is the entry point. Is the main entry point of creating RDD or accessing the Spark functionality. So that's why we are using the Spark context. So in architecture we have two things. There is three things. One is the one where our Spark context is defined. If that particular I can say job is running on one of the program, that is called driver work, that is master node, and other all other node are called worker node. So driver program has Spark context, that is entry point, and worker node have the executor. The worker node have executor, each executor have memory. They memory and CPU, they each executor have memory and their processing. That also we will define based on our need. So this is work on, this is one cluster, this is other cluster, this is other cluster, this is the cluster manager. We have either standalone mesos, yarn or kubernetes, and executor we can define, and we can define the memory that is for that is for processing of your job, and based on that we will do the Pyspark processing. Okay, thank you, thanks for watching. So